Hi, how's it going today? I do have this little guy I do want to finish. Hoping you can see here. I did a little bit more work on the waterfall. Made it a little bigger off camera. I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out. I should have filmed it. I apologize for that. But there's our waterfall. There's the lake. First step I'm going to do today is normally I like to paint and then put the stain on top of that. But I think today I'm going to go ahead and put the stain on here. I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup on it, put some stain on it, and see how it looks. If I like the way it looks as it stands, just with stain, then we'll call it good and we'll be done. But I have a feeling that once I get the stain on there, I may want to add some color to the stone, maybe to the trees and what have you, but not a lot. I don't want to overdo this one. I like the way it kind of looks natural, the way it's just sitting, just as you see it here. It's, I think it just looks very rustic this way. So let's go ahead, we'll go ahead and get started, see what happens here. I'm gonna go ahead and set the camera up. We'll go ahead and get the stain on it, and we'll see how it looks. See you in a second. Well, as you can see, a little nicer close-up of this thing. More of a detail shot for you guys to see what's been done on here. This is ready to go ahead and get some stain on it. All right, so what we're going to do is put our stain on here. I'm going to go ahead and use this one. This is called Weathered Oak. And, we'll take a look and see what we can do here. Now this weathered oak is more of a grayish color to it, but it also doesn't hide a whole lot of the details. It's not real thick like some of the others. It's just a nice little wash. And I'm going to just go ahead and coat everything with this. I'm going to get it everywhere, including on my resin. Make sure I get it down in the cracks. I want everything to be completely covered with this stuff. And as with any stain, when you're using it, the better and smoother your surface is, the nicer the stain is going to look. If you've got a rougher surface, the stain's going to end up being darker than where a smoother surface is going to give you a nicer, even stain. Keep that in mind. You can use that completely to your advantage as well. If you want something to look darker, leave it a little rough. It's okay to do that. Just know what the stain is going to do for you. It's also a good idea to practice on a piece that is not so important. Here we go. We have our stain on there. I don't think it looks too hateful. It's giving it a nice, it goes on, it looks gray when it goes on there, but it really is not. Overall, it just kind of darkens up the wood a little bit. It gives it a nice shine. And so now I'm going to go ahead and wipe it off. And it can stay down in the crevices. I really don't care if it stays down in there or not. Those can get darker. All right, so here we go. It's fully stained, and now that I do see it stained, I really do think I want to put a light brushing of some color in different spots on here just to make it pop a little more. It feels, I don't know, I just like to add just a little bit of color to these things. Personal preference, of course. You know, if you do your own and you don't feel like you like the color, don't do the color. It's your creation, and do it your way. So now I've got my colors out. Go ahead and water some of them down. Now this one here is an antique brown for the shingles. going to add a little bit of gray and green into it just to give it just a little bit of a texture. Green, of course, can be for the moss that may or may not be on here. So we'll go ahead and get those shingles in there. Next, we'll do a little bit of gray, a little bit of a gray wash on our brick. And again, I don't want to overkill it. Just a light wash of the gray, just so there's a hint of tone to it. Go ahead and we'll do this walkway up here as well, because it kind of will need a little bit of a color to it as well. Again, I don't want to go too much. I want it light. I want it a real wash to it, because I just don't want to take away from the carving. I want you to still be able to see the carving through, and I just want you to be able to get the idea that, okay, this is stonework. They're grayish in color, which everybody kind of knows. And you can see that that's really soaking that in there big time. It's not really even, I may have to go back over that. That may be too little for what I want. Get a little bit more gray on there. Just not much color there, as you can see. Now you notice if you paid attention to anything I've ever said about cutting deep, over-exaggerate those cracks in there, I don't need to put any darker color in there, because the light playing off of this is already making it look like it's darker down in there. Your eyes, you don't need the paint in there, because your eyes are going to see that as a darker spot because of its depth. Pretty happy with this now. Got some color on the brick, or stone. I keep calling it brick. It is stone. Going up underneath there. Got it all up on here. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of color to our trees. And again, super watered down. It's very runny. A little bit on the brush, and just keep the brush moving so it doesn't drip off of what you're actually painting, and it stays where you want it to stay. I think I'm going to turn this into some grass over here. So what I'm going to do in this instance is maybe, we'll see how this works. May change my mind. I'm going to try to do a little bit of it like a dry brush, where it's just a little dab here or there to give it some spot of color, so it's not a whole lot. And you get the idea that there's some grass in there. Might do, add just a watered down bit of gray to it. so it has a little bit of texture. All right, so I think lastly, just gonna put just a tiny bit of gray inside the window. Got a little bit too much water in there, so I'm gonna just let that kind of sit for a second until that soaks in. So I don't want it to run down the side of the house here. See if I can get some of that out of there. Some of the water. Not too bad. I'm okay with this one. I do see one more thing. I can never leave it well enough alone, which I think all of us have that issue. I'm going to add these, going to make these just a little darker, these support beams, just so they can pop and you can actually see that the wood, that slats that are in between there. So just a light touch there. Give that a little bit of a nice look to it. Right. I'm very happy with this one. Hopefully you guys are too. Well, this ends our series of this one. This little cabin in the woods, waterfall, lake up on top. There's our front right there, and it is finished. Now, I'm probably going to end up adding a coat of a polyurethane, or actually I use a polyacrylic on it. That stuff, I like it mostly because it just doesn't stink in my garage. My garage is attached to the house, so anytime I use something that really is smelly, it goes right into the house, and the whole family just doesn't really like that. So I do find that the polyacrylic works really nice. It has very little odor, and it's very easy to work with. So I'll probably coat that with this, probably a matte, because I do really like the way this thing looks in matte like this. I really do like this look. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm probably going to start on another carving in the round. It seems to be pretty popular with you guys. We'll throw in occasionally in between those something else that I'm working on at the same time. So thank you for watching this series. I hope you've watched the whole thing. If you haven't, please go ahead and take a look in the video playlist. You'll be able to see it start to finish. I encourage you to try to do this. Anybody really can do it. You don't need expensive tools. So it's relaxing, it's fun. Give it a shot. Ask me questions, I'll answer you. I read every single comment that comes in. And if you have suggestions for another project for me to do for you, holler at me. I'll see if I can do that in my next video. Thanks again. Thanks for watching. I hope you'll subscribe. Bye.